Is America reaching its breaking point? Because lately, the headlines sound less like democracy and more like a warning. The alleged assassination attempt on conservative commentator Charlie Kirk, the rising number of threats against politicians, journalists, and judges. Accusations that ICE, the very agency meant to enforce the law, is violating the Constitution. And whispers of a Trump-led coup or military unrest if the next election goes sideways. People are asking one haunting question: is political violence becoming justified or simply unstoppable? Once, Americans fought with ballots. Now, too many seem ready to fight with bullets. Over the past few years, physical attacks tied to politics have risen dramatically, from pipe bombs to shootings, from attempted assassinations to violent protests. Some call it self-defense against tyranny, others call it domestic terrorism. And somewhere in between are millions of ordinary citizens, watching their country tear itself apart, afraid to even say who they voted for at work or online. This isn't politics anymore, it's tribal survival. After the alleged attempt on Charlie Kirk, a disturbing debate erupted. Polls show that a growing number of Americans, especially younger adults, believe some political violence can be understandable if it's in response to what they see as hateful speech or threats to democracy. To some, words themselves have become weapons. They argue that silencing hate before it spreads is an act of justice. But critics ask, if violence becomes understandable, then what stops it from becoming acceptable? Because once one side claims moral right to strike first, both sides start believing it. And that's how democracies die. Not with foreign invasion, but with the normalization of revenge. Meanwhile, trust in American institutions has collapsed. Reports of ICE allegedly violating the constitutional rights of citizens, detaining people without warrants, raiding homes on suspicion, have fueled fear across communities. Many now see law enforcement not as a shield, but a sword, used differently depending on your politics. When citizens start fearing their own government, and the government starts fearing its own people, the foundation of democracy cracks. And what fills the gap is anger, not law. Then there's the unspoken question hovering over everything. What if the next election doesn't go peacefully? Rumors of a Trump-led coup, talk of generals divided by ideology, state militias quietly growing in number and arms. It sounds like fiction until you realize how close America came in January 2021. If that chaos returns, and one side refuses to accept defeat again, the United States could face something unseen since 1861, citizens at war with citizens, armed not for freedom, but for vengeance. Recent polls now show most Americans believe the U.S. is no longer a full democracy, but a dangerous partial democracy. A country where elections exist, but the loser never truly loses, and the winner never truly governs. It's a democracy that feels temporary, conditional, one where people care more about defeating the other side than defending the system itself. And that's the line between chaos and civilization. So, is political violence ever justified? Every generation has asked that question, from the revolution to the civil rights movement. But the difference now is this. Today, both sides believe they are the victims of tyranny. Both claim moral permission to strike back. And once a society justifies violence for its own good, it loses the ability to stop it, even when it turns inward. Violence doesn't protect democracy, it devours it. So maybe the real question isn't whether political violence is justified, but whether America can still remember what peace ever looked like. This is World Leaders, where we ask the questions that history will judge us by. Subscribe, because the story of democracy might be the next mystery we lose forever.